My camera's done out of focus, isn't it? Good morning, everybody. Let me fix that for you. There we go. This autofocus thing has a mind of its own. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's the Sunday Brunchstream. Coup edition. Now, I'm not really going to sing political songs because I'm going to continue on with our history of country music, which if I continue going at this rate, will last years. Be much more in-depth than the Ken Burns history of country music. Hey, Trish, hey, Barry, hey, Tony. Good to have you all here. All right, so today's subject, I wasn't going to talk politics at all. I'm trying to get a little bit of that out of my life at the moment. But today's subject is a guy named Fiddlin John Carson, and he released quite a number of 78s over the 20s and 30s. Pretty productive guy. And wrote some great songs, although again, when we go back this far, it's kind of hard to determine whether he was the actual author of these things or whether he just claimed to be for publishing's sake. But in any case, I decided to do some of his songs because he's credited with having the first commercially released country recording, which will be the first song that I play, which is called "The Little Old Log Cabin in the Lane." Now, as I researched Fiddlin John Carson, I found out also that he was a horribly racist person. So he's got more songs in his catalog that use the N-word than most gangster rap acts do. So at one point I was thinking, like, well, do I play the songs of this guy who belonged to the KKK apparently, and what do we do about this? A lot of his songs kind of have been brought forward from the minstrel show age, and minstrelsy is, for those who might be unfamiliar, it was an extremely popular form of blackface entertainment, and it was songs written by, mostly Tin Pan Alley songwriters for these minstrel shows, but they used, just fake insulting black dialect, and it was based on really horrible caricatures of African American people. But it also it's conflicting because it's also this huge portion of the American songbook came from this era, and so hugely important songwriters like Stephen Foster and others all wrote for minstrel shows. So I think it's while I'm certainly not going to play any of the songs that use the N-word, I'd be pretty uncomfortable with that. I think it's kind of impossible to look at the history of country music without acknowledging some of the people who made great strides despite the fact that they weren't necessarily the greatest people in the world, and that's kind of true across the art and music world. If we limited ourselves to artists who were good people, we'd be cutting out about 80% of the greatest artists of our era anyway. Even people like John Lennon weren't exactly the kindest people in the world, although he wasn't a member of the KKK, as Fiddlin John Carson was. So this first song that was the first country single, first country 78 ever released, actually, in my research, it was originally a minstrel show tune, but this version of it, they just took out all of the pseudo-black dialect that a lot of these songs were written in, and it's a pretty good song, and all of these songs are in the key of G. Everything I'm going to play today is in the key of G. He's a fiddler, so he plays fiddle tunes, and most of these songs would have like kind of long fiddle breaks in between the verses, which I will not attempt to emulate. I will not torture you with that. But the little old log cabin in the lane, the very first commercial country recording. Now I'm getting old and feeble, and I cannot work no more. My rusty bladed hoe I've laid to rest. Old masters and old mistresses, they're sleeping side by side. Their spirits are now roaming with the blessed. Things have changed about the place now. In the darkness they have gone to another year and singing in the cane. But the only friend left here is that good old dog of mine and the little old log cabin in the lane. Timber's falling down and the roof all caved in. Let's in the sunshine and the rain. But there's angels watching over me when I lay down to sleep in my little old log cabin in the lane. Now this footpath has grown up there to lead us around the hill, and the fence is all gone to decay. The pond had done dried up where we walked up to the mill. Things got turned in course another way. Well, I ain't got long to stay here. What little time I've got, I'll try and rest contented while I remain, until death shall call this dog and me to find better home in that little old log cabin in the lane. Timber's falling down and the roof all caved in. Let's in the sunshine and the rain. But there's angels watching over me when I lay down to sleep in my little old log cabin in the lane. Yeah, there's angels watching over me when I lay down to sleep in my little old log cabin in the lane. There you have it, the very first country song ever released on record. Some nice kind of sad lyrics there. Pretty interesting tune. I can't really imagine what the minstrel show version of that song would have been. Probably just a bunch of stupid approximations of an uneducated black person's way of expressing those lyrics. But in any case, I said I wasn't going to talk. I didn't want to talk politics today, but you look at this history of music sort of echoes our country's history, and the sort of racist groups and that we saw storming the Capitol this week. There's this long history in our culture that obviously that really gets ignored, I guess. So this next one is kind of a. I can't believe that Fiddlin' John Carson wrote this, because this is kind of a standard mountain folk song called Old Joe Clark. Now this is this song, while in G, like the previous one and every one I'll do today, are G, the people's key, but this has elements of what gets referred to as mountain minor. So even though we're playing in the key of G, you've got all these. Those are not all major scale notes, and what those kind of are blue notes, and where blue notes came from is African music. So it's kind of notable that these virulent racists that played this music were so, when it comes to it, influenced by African Americans in the way that they played their music, and hell, the banjo is an African instrument, so it's probably not the only area in our culture where racists just conveniently ignore that they're borrowing from black culture. So Old Joe Clark. Now I got no money, I got nowhere to stay, I got no place to lay my head, but the chickens grown for days. Very well, Old Joe Clark by Betsy Brown. Walk home, Old Joe Clark, gonna leave this town. Well, I wish I'd had a nickel, I wish I had a dime, I wish I had a pretty little girl to kiss her and call her mine. Very well, Old Joe Clark, bye-bye Betsy Brown. Walk home, Old Joe Clark, we're gonna leave this town. Once I brought a yellow girl, I brought her from the south. Hair around her head so tight, couldn't close her mouth. Very well, Old Joe Clark by Betsy Brown. Walk home, Old Joe Clark, I'm gonna leave this town. Well, I would not marry an old maid, I'll tell you the reason why. Her legs so long and stranded, I'm afraid she'll never die. Very well, Old Joe Clark, by Betsy Brown. Walk home, Old Joe Clark, I'm gonna leave this town. I went down to Deano's, standing in the door with shoes and stockings in her hand, her feet all over the floor. Very well, Old Joe Clark by Betsy Brown. Walk home, Old Joe Clark, gonna leave this town. Very well, Old Joe Clark by Betsy Brown. Walk home, Old Joe Clark, gonna leave this town. Old Joe Clark, which certainly in bluegrass circles is a standard. Lots of blue notes in there that give that minor key feel, even though it's played in G major. So, I've been trying to be healthy and trying to drink less. Yesterday I went to a bar for the first time in ages. There's a bar down the street from my house that has a big patio that they have some plastic, sides to it, so and a gas heater in there, so you can sit outside and sit. They have the tables distance, so it's about as safe as gathering in a bar can be. But man, I failed in my efforts to not drink as much as I normally do yesterday, and I'm feeling it today. But I sort of look at this like there's these public service messages about quitting smoking, where they make the point that the more you try and quit, the less you're smoking. So the better off you are. So I'm gonna try and quit drinking every day. That's a little sidetrack here. I'll get back to Fiddlin' John Carson. So this is a song that was is kind of a common part of what this sort of genre of songwriting did, and blues did as well. This is kind of like they kind of reflected the newspapers of the day, and so this is called the Death of Floyd Collins. And Floyd Collins was trapped in a mine and died in a mine before they could dig him out and rescue him. And it was apparently really widely covered in the press at the time. And so there's these sort of disaster songs are kind of common in this era, and kind of going up into the 30s or so. It sort of fades. That sort of fades in the 40s or so. But the Death of Floyd Collins. Oh, come all you young people and listen while I tell the fate of Floyd Collins, a lad we all knew well. His face was fair and handsome, his heart was true and brave. His body now lies sleeping in a lonely sandstone cave. How sad the story, it fills our eyes with tears. The memory too will linger for many, many years. A broken-hearted father who tried his boy to save will now weep tears of sorrow at the door of Floyd's cave. Oh, mother, don't you worry, dear father, don't be sad. I'll tell you all my story in an awful dream I had. I dreamed I was a prisoner, my life I could not save. I cried, oh, must I perish within this silent cave? The rescue party labored, they worked both night and day to move the mighty barrier that stood within the way. To rescue Floyd Collins, this was their battle cry. We'll never know, we'll never let Floyd Collins die. But on that fatal morning, the sun rose in the sky. The workers still were busy, we'll save him by and by. But oh, how sad the ending, his life could not be saved. His body then was sleeping sandstone cave. Young people, oh, take warning from Floyd Collins' fate and get right with your maker before it is too late. It may not be a sand cave in which we find our tomb, but at the bar of judgment we too must meet our doom. Also typical of songs of the era, what we're supposed to have learned by Floyd Collins' tragic death is to get right with our maker. I guess this atheist is screwed in that regard, but I might get right with my maker's mark. Boom. So, this song, I didn't even listen to it, but it was the first thing that comes up when you try and search for this on YouTube is a Pete Seeger cover of it. So, but this definitely has a message that you could see appealing to Pete Seeger and the folkies of his generation. It's called "The Farmer is the Man That Feeds Them All." While the woman uses snuff and they never get enough, the farmer is the man that feeds them all. When the farmer come to town with his wagon broken down, the farmer is the man that feeds them all. The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, buys on a credit until fall. Then they'll take him by the hand, then they'll lead him through the land, and the merchant feeds the man who gets it all. If you'll only look and see, I know you will agree that the farmer is the man that feeds them all. Well, the judge is on his bench, he will scratch his head and wink, but the farmer is the man that feeds them all. And the lawyer, I'll declare, will tell a lie and swear, but the farmer is the man that feeds them all. If you only look and see, I know you will agree, the farmer is the man that feeds them all. The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, buys on a credit until fall. Then they'll take him by the hand, then they'll lead him through the land, then the merchant, he's the man who gets it all. If you'll only look and see, I know you will agree that the farmer is the man that feeds them all. Oh, the doctor hangs around while the blacksmith works his iron, but the farmer is the man that feeds them all. And the preacher and the cook, they'll go strolling through the brook, but the farmer is the man that feeds them all. If you'll only look and see, I know you will agree that the farmer is the man that feeds them all. Farmer is the man, farmer is the man, buys on a credit until fall. Then they'll take him by the hand, then they'll lead him through the land, and the merchant, he's the man who gets it all. If you'll only look and see, I know that you will agree, the farmer is the man that feeds them all. This is one of two songs that I'm playing today that mentions women using snuff. So I guess snuff was a popular product for women in these days. I don't know. Sounds unpleasant to me. This is enough. I think there's another one that I do where he kind of rags on lawyers and doctors and women. These are particular kind of portraits of evil in these in these old songs. Doctors, lawyers, and women. Dang women. So This is apparently written by Fiddlin John Carson, and it's a really sweet song, generous song for a guy who was such a racist. Oh my God, it's snowing in Austin. The people must be freaking out. I'm just looking at my chat thread here. People, the whole 3 years I lived there, it didn't snow, but anyway, this is called Be Kind to a Man When He's Down. Unless he's a black man, apparently, in Fiddlin John Carson's world. When a boy goes wrong and leaves his home, he'll pass by the good of his town. Oh, go lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. Forgive and forget, there's good in him yet. He'll drink his sorrow to drown. Oh, go lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. When a hand is lent to a soul almost spent, there'll be a bright star in his crown. Oh, go lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. Forgive and forget, there's good in him yet. He'll drink his sorrow to drown. Oh, go lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. He's down today, you know it is true. Tomorrow it may be you. Oh, go lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. Forgive and forget, there's good in him yet. He'll drink his sorrow to drown. Oh, lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. When a man is down, don't pass him by. Just give him one smile. Oh, lend him a hand and help him to stand. For he are some other's child. Forgive and forget, there's good in him yet. He'll drink his sorrow to drown. Oh, lend him a hand and help him to stand. Be kind to a man when he's down. The tender side of Fiddlin John Carson. Ah, yes. I had one beer left in the house, so I was able to serve my Bloody Mary civilized with a chaser. All right, here's the next one where women and lawyers and doctors are vilified. This is called There's a Hard Time A-Comin'. All these are in G, and they all have a lot of the same notes in the melodies, so I have to kind of remind myself of which one is which melody-wise. If you went and saw this guy play at a dance or something back in his day, I mean, you would have been treated to probably hours on end of songs with almost the same melody in the same key. But that was entertainment back then, folks, and this is entertainment today. Damn it. Oh, the men want to marry, they would if they could. They could if they would. They go all around in their old sack coat. The hair on the face look like a billy goat. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Oh, women wanna marry, they would if they could if they would. They go all around and they powder their face, but they hide their snuff in a particular place. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Preacher in the pulpit, preaching mighty bold, preaching for your dollar, but not for your soul. You can ride on the circus 3 times a year. If you die and go to hell, well, the preacher don't care. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Hear the old blacksmith huff and blow. He'll make you a plow and also a hoe. He says he'll make it for half the amount, and when he's done he'll double the count. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Here's the old doctor I like to forgot. Believe to my soul he's the worst of the lot. It says he'll cure you for half you possess, and when you're dead he'll sue you for the rest. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Yeah, I believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Believe to my soul there's a hard time a-comin'. Yeah, Jen, welcome. Jen brings up the anti-Semitism involved here too. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, you know, probably when you're talking about doctors and lawyers, you're probably, you know, referencing Jewish people to a certain extent. Yeah, so it's kind of an ugly history, and I don't mean to make light of that in any way. But it is our history, and some of the songs are pretty great in spite of all that. That's it for Fiddlin' John Carson. Now we're going to get to George Jones, who I have no evidence of being a racist in any way at all. And, you know, it's kind of funny that when I play this. So part of this, for those who might not have watched last week, part of what I'm going to do, since I always feature a George Jones song on my shows, is I'm going to work my way through George's singles one by one. And this is the second single that he released, and it's called Play It Cool, Man. And it's kind of interesting to me that George, you know, a little bit later than this, made some recordings under the name Thumper Jones in an attempt to cash in on the rock and roll craze, which happened a couple, 3 years after this record came out. And he always talked about them in interviews like he was embarrassed by them. But when I hear the stuff that he did prior to that, it's pretty rock and roll, you know. I mean, there's really not it's interesting to me how historically, you know, we think of this sort of big bang of rock and roll as Elvis coming along, and then, you know, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, all the Fats Domino, all the early greats. But you know, there's so much, you know, earlier country stuff that is basically rock and roll that it's sort of bizarre to me that it seemed so threatening to people at the time. So this is Play It Cool, Man, Play It Cool. Now if your baby's stepping out makes you feel like a fool, don't blow your top, don't rage and shout, play it cool, man, play it cool. Well, she'll run around and have her fun. She'll act like a kid in school, but she'll get tired and man, play it cool. Yeah. She's really smart, but she may act like a dunce upon a stool. Don't get the sweat, she'll come back yet. Play it cool, man, play it cool. Now if you think she's a flipping round like a fish out of its pool, don't you fret or get all wet. Play it cool, play it cool. If you think that your darling can use you like a tool, just lock the door, don't beg for more. Play it cool, man, play it cool. Well, if you don't just lie, it's like to make a fool man drool. Don't lose your head and wish you were dead. Play it cool, man, play it cool. Play it cool, man, play it cool. All right, that's it for the show today, folks. I thank you all for joining me. Next week, I hope to have subject matter that is maybe a little less challenging to deal with on a psychological level, but I sort of committed to the Fiddlin' John Carson thing before I delved too deep into his N-word spouting catalog, so I went through with it, and I hope it wasn't a mistake. Anyway, cheers to y'all. Great to have you here as always, and we'll see you back here next week. As always, stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, stay home if you can, stay free. Hopefully there won't be another coup in the next attempt in the next 2 weeks or so. I love you all, and we'll see you right back here next week. Bye-bye.